Would you like to be someone that performs at a very high level when you're under pressure? Me too. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, we inspire. Last time we got together, we were talking about performing under pressure, a subject that you don't hear a lot about from the other pundits out there. And so, and it's part of life that, I don't know, it seems to be ignored for the most part. You know, you hear like, you know, well, if you want to be if you want to make a diamond, you have to have pressure. Okay, well, last time we got together, we were talking about certain quotes from people that were applicable to this particular subject, and I want to continue with them because I'm excited about it. This is something that, you know, I'm under pressure to make a video all the time. What are we going to talk about? What subjects are we going to use? And it just takes constant thinking, and it takes visualizing, and it takes anticipation, and it takes some research. All right? These are all things that go in that help to alleviate that pressure. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about pressure. Pressure comes from within, and so must be mastered from within. That's a quote from Ed Jacoby. You know, there are some people that are just got it, and others that don't, that you can't count on. And a lot of times you can tell just from the body language. I was watching a basketball game last night, and even the announcers were saying one team was like way ahead, and the other team was coming back. And he said, take a look at the body language on the team that formerly was ahead by 26 points. My goodness, you could see it in the body language. You could see that they weren't going to perform. Well before the score was tied and well before the other team went ahead, you could see it in their body language. I don't know. It's something, it's a special inner thing that you have to perform under pressure. And, you know, as much as I criticize, excuse me, our public school system, one of the things that it does do is when you do have a test and you say, going to have a big test, it's going to be 1/3 of your grade or something like that, make sure that you study, you feel that pressure. And that's a good thing. You need to have bits of pressure applied to you, applied to your children, applied to you as an adult to help you advance. It's as simple as that. It's a stepping stone process. It's not something where you just automatically perform. You know, it's something where you have to have gone through it a little bit in order to be an achiever. Pressure can either burst a pipe or make a diamond. And that quote is from Robert Horry. And you might be saying, who the heck is Robert Horry? Robert Horry was a journeyman basketball player, played for about 800 different teams in the NBA, but somehow he was always on a team that was in the playoffs and playing a big game, and somehow, some way, he would find a way, and there were like 4 or 5 different occasions when this happened, where he would get the ball in a pressure situation. Because he was a journeyman, he wasn't being double teamed, but he would get the ball in a pressure situation and make the big shot. So much so that his nickname became Big Shot Bob. Now, he's not someone that's going to enter the Hall of Fame. He was a journeyman. But here was a guy that performed under pressure. How was he performing under pressure? Because he was ready. All right? As a basketball player, it's like you have your hands ready. You're ready. You want the ball in your shooting pocket. You're ready to roll. You're ready to make it happen. That was Robert Horry, Big Shot Bob. Pressure is not necessarily bad. Pressure can make you produce. The challenge of pressure is learning how to handle it, which requires developing internal confidence and inner strength. Self-esteem, confidence. You know, you feel that at all the different levels. I remember when I'm coaching, you know, the Froshsoft basketball team, and you might say, well, gee, coach, that ain't a whole lot of pressure coaching the Froshsoft basketball team, all right? Well, When you have kids that you've been working with for a couple of months every single day, and you're playing a game, and there's a few seconds left in the game, and the score is tied, or you're down by 1 point, and you call a timeout, and you have everybody sitting down, and you have the parents of each and every kid looking over to see, what's the coach going to say? What's the coach going to do? What's the idea? What's the game plan? Friend, that's some pressure. And so you have to be cool under pressure. You have to respond to it, not react to it. Just the same way as they tell you, when you're on the plane and the mask comes down, put the mask over yourself first, then take care of your kids. Take care of yourself first so that you're not feeling the pressure. They don't say that, but that's the intent. So that you're not feeling that pressure so that you can act responsibly. And when you're in that timeout, the final timeout, when everything's on the line, so to speak, for the game, and everybody's, all tense, people look to the coolest guy in the room and say, okay, coach, what are we going to do? That makes or breaks a leader. Pressure squeezes effort out of winners and excuses out of losers. Boy, do you see that all the time. You people that are performers, people that succeed under pressure, they've put in the effort. They're prepared for that. They've role-played that particular scenario. It doesn't happen, by accident. Just as a quick example, in one of the New England Patriots Super Bowl wins, there was one team had the ball. Seattle had the ball on like the 1 yard line, and the Patriots needed to stop them or they were going to lose the Super Bowl. And Seattle went back and they made a pass, and Malcolm Butler, an undrafted defensive player who was in the game, made the interception that's going to define his career in his very first Super Bowl. All right, that he will always be remembered for making that interception. Always. What did he say after the game? He said, you know what, in practice, we practiced playing against that particular offensive set, and I missed it the first time. And Coach Belichick went into me and said, that's not the way to do it, Malcolm. This is the way to do it. And then when it came up in that particular scenario, what do you suppose I was thinking about as the ball got snapped and the players started to move? It was like, here it is. I'd already lived through this. I've been through this already before, and he made the interception. He anticipated. He visualized. Do you follow what I'm saying? And then what happens is the losers, the other team, is making excuses. Well, it seemed like the right play. It seemed like the right move. I was injured. I had this. Winners are prepared. Losers make the excuses. I like added pressure. It makes me work harder. Mary Lou Retton. I can really identify with that. If you ask people, what is the thing that you fear the most? You'll find, and I've seen surveys that have said this, is that public speaking in front of a large group of people, is something that is just absolutely frightening to them. And it was frightening to me. The first time I was asked to speak in front of a group of people, it was a small group of people, 20 people, 30 people. And then later on, as I advanced in my career, I'm speaking in front of a couple of thousand people. And, knowing that was going to be the case, what did I do? I drilled, practiced, rehearsed that speech over and over and over and over while I'm on the plane flying from, Chicago to Tennessee, which is where they were having this big event. On the plane, I'm sitting there and I'm saying the words over and over and over again, creating muscle memory for myself. So then when I got up in front of the group of people, there was some butterflies in my stomach, but once I got started, I knew I could do it. Why? Because I had done it a zillion times already. Muscle memory is a key factor in overcoming pressure. If you don't have to think about what you have to do, what you have to say, because you've done it a zillion times, that helps to relieve that pressure. So drill, practice, rehearse, work harder. You can always tell your true values by looking at your behavior, especially under pressure. And that's from Brian Tracy, who is one of the pundits that I actually do admire. Very, very smart guy, old-time thinker. And he's right, okay? You can tell the true value of someone's behavior under pressure. You know, there was a place kicker for New England Patriots, Adam Vinatieri, who just recently retired. Certainly he'll be in the Hall of Fame. And he would kick field goals in the snow with like 3 seconds left in the game. He was always on target. Fantastic. Fantastic. That is how he will be identified. Now later at the end of his career, he was older and not as athletically inclined as he was when he was younger and was not as successful. But when he had everything going, he had that attitude. And that's what allowed him to actually make the teams at the end of his career, because people recognized him as a winner. His reputation overcame somewhat of a little bit of a lack of talent at the end of his career. Some people handle pressure gracefully. Others shut down, act out, and can't function. Well, we've gone over a whole bunch of the reasons why that happens. And, you know, some of it is declining skills. Some of it is a lack of preparation. Some of it is not drill, practice, and rehearsal. These are all the different factors. And you'll find that there are some people that just don't get it. They're not willing to do the extra, both internally and with their muscle memory, to get the job done. And they're not willing to have the positive outlook of seeing the success and not seeing the failure. If you want to be a successful player, you have to learn how to handle pressure, how to stay cool when it counts, especially in big games. Michael Parker. Now, I don't know who Michael Parker is, to be candid with you, but I'm assuming that he was somewhat of a good athlete in whatever sport he played. But really, that's true. You know, the people that are the most successful, what they're known for is performing under pressure. So put yourself sometimes in those situations so that you can feel what it feels like to be in those situations. Get you out of your comfort zone. All right, performing under pressure by definition is performing outside of your comfort zone. That's what it's all about. But you got to be cool, calm, and collected, and anticipatory, and be able to anticipate what the heck is going to happen now. That is a key thing. And the last one I want to share with you today is the pressure gets worse the older you get. The hole starts to look like the size of a bare aspirin. And that's from famous golfer, Hall of Fame golfer, Gary Player. And I'll tell you something, my athletic skills, you know, Eli, when I go out on the court with you and we're playing ball, I mean, it looks small enough when I was actually in pretty good shape when I was a collegiate player. But now, the basket looks that big. It's so difficult for me to do those things. And as you get older, you know, your physical capabilities start to wane a bit. And when you get really old, and I don't put myself in that category, Eli, even though you do, but when you get really old, your mental skills, your mental capabilities start to wane as well. Your grandfather, when he was really old, that was something that I could see in him. I am not at that position yet, Eli, and don't you think so for 1 minute, because that is not the case. As a matter of fact, as I get older, I still feel that I have a sharpness of mind, and I feel that I'm wiser than I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, because of all of the experiences that I've gone through. But always recognize that you have to keep up with your physical skills. So you as a basketball player, as an example, can't say, okay, the season's over, it's summertime, don't have to play again until the fall or the winter. No, 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 no. You've got to keep those physical skills going. You've got to keep those mental skills going. Does that make sense? All right, well, we've talked a lot about pressure. But one of the things that helps you overcome that pressure is don't ration the passion, fashion the passion. I'm Eli's dad.